This clock is displaying 1,440 hours. Anybody know how long that is?
3 months.
2 months.
2 months.
Fuck me.
Neff, I don't know what you're worse at, math or calling people back. Anyway, the clock is telling you officially how much money we have left,
Okay, but we've got 10 months to pay you back, right?
9 months.
Jesus Christ.
which leaves a gap of
7.
Months. Okay. So?
computer. Say it a different way.
We have an option in the deal. If the business starts to bleed profusely, we're allowed to act.
Act. So what does that mean?
It's just a tourniquet, buddy. When that clock shows 0, this restaurant needs to cease operations.
Welcome to the Eat Your Content podcast. I'm your host, Rich Herrera. Thank you for pushing play on my podcast. Just a reminder to follow me on socials at Rich Herrera and at Eat Your Content on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere on social media, and also to like and follow on your podcast player of choice so you'll know when new episodes drop. Quick programmer reminder, I am doing my annual my annual Bear. I just got off recapping Top Chef, but I am doing my annual recap of The Bear. We're on season 4. And The Bear holds a special place in my heart. It's what caused me to start my podcast, so I'm really happy to continue doing this. I have brought guest hosts every time in the chef world, in the industry, to talk about their experience watching the show and kind of how it's captured on film versus what it's like in real life. So I'm so happy to have Chef Abbie Serbins. She's known as Chef Abbie at UC Berkeley's International House. She brings decades of culinary experience and a global perspective behind every dish she cooks. She has been in the industry for 20 years. You might know her from her time on Guy's Grocery Games and Chopped on the Food Network. So happy to have you, Chef Abbie. Thanks so much for taking the time to be on the pod and watching The Bear with me and talking about it with me.
Yes, thank you very much, Rich. I am very, very honored that you asked me to come and you talk about The Bear. It's a very, very wonderful show for everybody in all walks of life, I believe. So I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on. And I love having chefs on to talk about the show because it's a different perspective. Like, I don't necessarily talk about the show from a critical perspective. I mean, I do. It's just kind of natural to do that when you talk about a TV show, to talk about its artistic merits and everything. But I love talking to chefs about watching a show like The Bear, where I've talked to some chefs that have said this is probably the most realistic depiction of kitchen life that they've seen on screen. And one thing I wanted to talk to you about before we kind of jump into season 4 is you're a chef and like Chef Carmy, incredibly busy all the time. So you didn't really watch The Bear from the beginning at season 1, however many years ago, 4 years ago now. And then I reached out and we talked and you decided to do it. And you're like, oh my gosh, I guess I gotta catch up. And you watched all 4 seasons, binge watched it in the course of a couple of weeks. What were your overall thoughts, just before we get into kind of the nitty gritty of season 4, what's your overall thoughts of watching The Bear and kind of catching up to the cultural zeitgeist that it has become over the years?
Right. I'm very interested to hear the other side as well. But from my perspective, it's a very overwhelming show. As for me, I'm a chef. I'm in the industry. I know exactly what it entails. As soon as I saw the first scene, and it brought so many memories. Not entirely 100% of what he went through on those episodes or the scenes, but it felt very familiar. Number one, and very true to life to me. And it talked a lot about a person who is a chef who's going through life, and binge watching the show. I feel like, it was punch after punch. It's almost like, it's a hard watch because it's very emotional. There are so many raw emotions involved in the show. So it's not just a show about somebody cooking, it's about a person who's going through life and amongst other people that are also in the same boat as he is. So,
yeah,
but I feel like I have the advantage because
yeah.
I don't have to wait. It's like just wow. It's wow after wow, cry, heart aches, and it's heavy to watch. It's a tremendous show. That's what I can tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even in the food industry, other than this podcast and kind of doing some freelance food writing here in Jacksonville. I haven't worked in the industry like you have, and a lot of my guests have. So, and watching the show for me, as emotional as you were talking about, it is very anxiety inducing, right? It's very anxiety inducing, and I had to take breaks between a couple of episodes. In season 2, Fishes, the big family gathering for Christmas, and I'm just like, after that episode, I had to stop for probably a day or two, and I was like, I gotta come down from that. But seasons 1 and 2, I think, are some of the most perfect seasons of TV that I've seen. You cannot. It's 10 out of 10 no notes on seasons 1 and 2. What did you think of season 3? Season 3 got some flack for kind of spinning its wheels a little bit, kind of slowing down. It didn't have kind of that frenetic energy of seasons 1 and 2. What did you think?
I think season 3 was very essential to the connection to get to season 4. I mean, like you said, I did not have that break for amongst, like other viewers. You guys would have months, right? Or 6 months or
a year. It was a year. Yeah, a year between.
For me, I thought it was I see what they're saying. I heard some reviews right after that, but I thought season 3 brought out a lot of connections as to, how did they get to that point? So I think it's a very important season, to be quite honest. And season 4 is just, something else, obviously. But I actually felt like season 4 had that slope down. I felt like, because everybody was kind of settling down a little bit, But season 3 had, is it Fishes, or they had?
That was season 2. Yeah, season 2 was Fishes. Yeah.
Okay, that was hard to digest.
Yeah.
And so I thought, having season 3, you kind of have that break, and you kind of hit that ground where you're like kind of just contemplating what is this show about, really? Is this really about a chef, or is this really about family and people's mental stability?
Yeah, I think what caught a lot of fans off about season 3 is like each season had its signature episode. Like season 1 was Forks, right, where Richie goes to Ever Stage, and that was the episode of the defining episode of the season. My favorite single episode of TV ever, and I've watched that particular episode again and again, and it's so good. And season 2 was Fishes. Season 3 didn't really have that kind of standout episodes. I mean, you could make a case for Ice Chips being that standout episode where Suge and the mom were having the baby and having kind of that bottle episode of them in the hospital, but it just didn't have the same feeling that Fishes and Forks did. So I found season 3 my least favorite going into season 4. I wasn't a huge fan of season 3. Season 3 felt more art housey. The creators, I think, kind of felt like, okay, we can do some stuff now, and it was very art house. The art house feel to it, very independent film kind of feel. But we go right from season 3 going into season 4. So let's kind of dig into it a little bit. So season 4, we're going to cover 3 episodes of podcast. So we're going to cover episodes 1 through 3 today, and then we're going to cover episodes 4 through 6, and then we're going to end it with episodes 7 through 10. So 3 episodes total. So make sure you hit the bell button so you know when things are coming out. But the first episode of season 4 kind of picks up. It seems to be pretty quickly after the climax of season 3, where he had that ranting, raving in the walk-in. He got stuck in there, and he just basically imploded his relationship with literally everybody. Just going nuts in the walk-in. So
I love that about season 3.
That I will say that ending scene was gut-wrenching. It was just all.
It was.
Yeah, just all of that emotion.
Not to back you up so much, but
no, you're fine.
I also like. Is Napkin season 3?
Yeah, Napkins is season 3 too. That was a pretty good episode.
I really like T's character,
Yeah.
And where she came from and how she got there. If you really think about it, and that's just, to me, that was very awesome. And then you get to see her in season 4.
Yeah.
How she's doing that pasta dish. But anyway, yeah, go ahead. Not
Well,
to interrupt.
no. What I do love that we do have 4 seasons, and that gives us the time to
Right.
sit with some of these individual characters and get to know their story. Like Marcus going to
Right.
Copenhagen, I
Yeah.
thought was a
Yeah.
really great episode, and we meet Luca
Right.
and Lisa
Yeah.
Konzaias.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Tina with the napkins episode, I thought was really good, and flashbacking to see Mikey and how
For
he
sure.
influenced
Yes.
everybody, you know, in the
Yes.
restaurant, and how
For
his
sure.
legacy looms large.
Right.
So we get to the first episode. Episode's Groundhogs.
Yep.
Kind of They talk about Groundhog Day. What did you think about the show using a movie to kind of tell you where the characters are, as opposed to just showing us where the characters are? It's almost like this Groundhog Day movie. Bill Murray's Groundhog Day is playing this narrator in a sense. Did you like that?
To be quite honest, I've actually never seen that movie. I
Oh,
know
really?
about it. I know about it, and this is when being a chef who I'm a big fan of film and all that stuff. But until then, when I'm like, wait, that's Bill Murray, and I saw parts of Groundhog Day, but I've never seen the entirety of the movie. But I thought, when he was in the couch, right, reading the magazine or something, he had a newspaper with him. But
Yeah.
but the first scene where he was talking to Mikey, I thought that was very kind of like leading to something, kind of, alluding to, because I really want to know what that restaurant, I don't know if you remember, Mikey said something about, I have a better name for that,
Yeah.
when they were mixing the sauce.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, is the name really De Bear and all that? And watching season 4, I don't know, my mind is just going in so many different places, so you kind of never know.
Yeah.
I didn't see season 4 coming at all. I mean,
Yeah.
with binge watching, I didn't realize, because I feel like there's so much work that was put into it. And then coming to season 4, it's like, really? I hope not, that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
but
do.
sorry,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I've
No, go
never
ahead.
seen that movie Groundhog Day.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you probably caught the concept. The concept of Groundhog Day, the movie
Yes.
with Bill Murray, is that he somehow, through some sort of weird circumstance, is reliving the same day over and over and over again.
Right, exactly.
Which,
that I know.
yeah, so it's a metaphor of what Carmy, I guess, feels like he's going through at this point. And then you talked about the opening scene with Mikey. I love that scene. Again,
Yes.
you are seeing the relationship that Mikey's built with Carmy, and I love their use of Mikey throughout the season. They're not browbeating us with Mikey. They're giving it to us in
Bits by
ways
bits.
that matter. In ways that
Yes.
matter.
Exactly.
And John Bernthal just does a great job of that. And the way he talks about it's like, I can hear the sauce sticking, man. Stir that thing. It's great.
That's
It was
my
great.
favorite part of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can just tell that being a chef or a cook runs in their family.
Oh yeah.
And that it's well ingrained in the whole Borzato family, from the mom, from the brother, and Carmy, of course, and even Sugar.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
So the paper he's reading is the negative review from the Chicago Tribune, because
review, that's right.
that was the cliffhanger of season 3. Is he
That's
gets
right,
the
that's
text
right.
and saying that the review's in, but we don't know, is it good, is it bad? We
That's
find
right.
out at the beginning of season 4 here that it's not great. It's not a bad review, but they described it as culinary dissonance, and
Exactly.
basically him screaming in the kitchen is part of why everything came off unbalanced and not earnest. Have you ever worked in a kitchen that was kind of dysfunctional like that? What was that like? And or have you been lucky enough to not have to go through that?
No, I have. I have worked in kitchens like that. I mean, particularly the Bear kitchen. I actually been in the kitchen like that for quite a while, and I was executive chef. I mean, the way he reacted to people, I almost felt like, um, I was at that point, and so many times in my life, but obviously that is a TV show, right? So in real life, I feel like if you come up to somebody and say F you to their faces, things are going to be in a different scenario right in that moment. Obviously, that's not the plot of the show. So, obviously, but even reality shows, you don't really see people going nuts. But in the gist of it all, yes, it happens all the time. Like, I'm in that constant, where the hell is it? Give it to me now, and then you kind of back up a little bit. It's like, is it even humanly possible what I'm asking? And then when everybody's gone, that's when I start testing myself. it is humanly possible, and then that's when you kind of differentiate yourself as you're the head chef or you're the CDC, you're the cook, but everybody is essential to the whole success of the kitchen, I guess, is what I'm seeing there, but I can see how people are coming out as that is not true, restaurants don't do that, et cetera, et cetera. It had turned around, for so many years. But when I started my internship coming out from school, I feel like all the restaurants out there were like that. Not exactly like, his chef when he was training at that, or he was the CDC at with Joel McHale.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen a chef come and whisper F you to your face or, degrade you like that. I've heard of stories, but I've never experienced it. But I've experienced the glare. I've experienced the separation, and you can just tell by how the chef is treating you amongst other people if they like you or not. Like words does not even need to be pronounced, but you can sense it. So I mean, it's a tough gig. It's not for everybody, that's for sure. And that's what I love about this show. You are not condoning that behavior, but you're talking about reality, and it is happening. And I feel like there's a very therapeutic way that it brings to me actually as a chef. In fact, like I said, this show is so powerful that I really have to talk to my therapist about it too.
Oh no.
I'm not joking. It really hit me so hard.
Made
And
you feel
so,
things, huh?
oh, I felt it. I felt it. It went straight through me, and I couldn't sleep for days. And I would just sit there like, oh my gosh, like just keep on kind of like marinating in that whole thought. And it's like I was there, but I chose a different route. But that's exactly where I wanted to head and go to right after school. Exactly what he did. But and then I'm thinking to myself, if he had not gone through his brother dying and all that, his mother and all that, would he actually withstand all of that beating that he was taking from that chef that he was working for? And so, and I have answers in my head. I felt like he was already beaten when he got to the game. And that's why, he was so vulnerable, and he was, kind of like he's just grasping at straws, I feel like. But, it's a strong character as well. He's portraying a lot of, strengths and weaknesses at the same time, which is not easy to show. But
Yeah.
I think the show really did an amazing work on this. So
Yeah, I mean, Carmy's out there cooking to prove something to really himself. I mean, he doesn't have anything
really
to
to himself,
prove
yeah.
to anybody. He is one of the best chefs in America, but he always feels like he was never good enough.
Exactly.
Because of that relationship with Mikey breaking down, and Mikey not
Right.
wanting to go into that restaurant with Carmy. Carmy's like, well, F you, I'm going to go do it on my own, and I'm going to go work at the best restaurants in the world and show you that I can do this. So he was cooking to prove something to somebody, to
sure.
himself.
For sure.
So that all came to a head at the end of season 3, and now we're getting the kind of the ramifications of that in this first episode of season 4. And he starts kind of going on this apology tour, right? Sid walks in.
Yep.
Sid walks in and he does that little hand over his heart thing that they talk about. And she's like, "You're gonna have to be more specific. You were a real jerk." And so
For sure.
this kind of starts his forward momentum of trying to be a better person and trying to not be the thing that weighs the bear down, which is what the Tribune review basically said is all of that negativity was leaching out into the restaurant. One of my favorite scenes, and I think really set the tone for this season, is when Uncle Jimmy and the computer comes in with the clock, right? Plugs it in.
I like that.
Yeah, 1,440 hours or whatever, and they're like, "This is how much money you got left. When this clock hits 0,
Right.
you're done. You're done unless something changes." I think a lot of chefs, when they have their own restaurant, kind of do have that internal clock in their head. In your background, you work kind of in a corporate environment, right? So you don't necessarily have that kind of axe hanging over your head as much as somebody
do.
like a. Oh, really? Okay, yeah. Tell me about that.
My background is, so I'm in the corporate world, yes, and I did handle accounts. For example, we would sign as little as 4-year contract in each account. And we're talking about multi-million-dollar accounts. So it's all based on profit and loss, et cetera. And we get to that point where we were given 30 days. And I know how it feels. That's why when I saw the show, I'm not a Michelin star chef, but we're also talking about multi-millions of dollars and hundreds of employees, much more than his, will lose their livelihood if we lose this account. And we've been there. We've done it. And I know exactly that 14-hour clock, like I said, I work as little as 30-day notice. The client would say, if you don't turn this around, we're going to have to pull the plug. So it's very, it's truthful. I mean, exactly what they were going through. But obviously, if you're spending the money coming out of your pocket, I mean, I can only imagine, if me, I'm the chef and I'm going to lose my livelihood. But knowing that, hey, tomorrow I could just, turn on my computer and submit my resume somewhere. But with him, not only his whole entire family, I mean, what is he going to do? Everybody's going to lose their jobs and, they're all depending on him, kind of like similar to, I guess, what I'm saying. But to him, I think it's much more profound because he owns the restaurant. And again, in this season, he's really trying to prove something. And I think he doesn't even know really until we get to the episodes or whatever. But in that particular episode, it really shows that, he needs to really prove something, especially after the review came out. Yeah.
Yeah. And
that was
basically,
rough to watch. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So the computer and Jimmy say, unless something drastic happens, you guys can't spend any more money. You're bleeding money. And unless something drastic changes happen, you're going to shut down. And I love how in every episode of this series, they have that red line graph and kind of showing the progress of where everybody is. And you kind of feel that desperation with them, which I thought was a great way to kind of pull us in as viewers. Mm-hmm. So the drastic changes that take place is Richie hires the old Ever gang. And we bring the all-stars from Ever back. You have Renee, Garrett, and Jessica, which I thought was awesome. And Jessica, when they introduced her back into the show, was so happy. She has her own theme music. So if you remember during the Forks episode, they kind of had that, I don't know what kind of that music that was kind of high octane, kind of we're off to the races. And she takes charge of the expo station and turns it around. And that's what they needed, was some leadership on that side of the house. What did you think of seeing the Ever team, having watched them just recently on season 1, episode 7?
I mean,
seeing them back again,
it was a great move. But as a chef, and also, I mean, even if I don't really own the businesses that I'm running, what's really catching my mind here? I thought, okay, wait, they're losing money already, but then they hired the best of the best in the front of the house.
I know,
and I thought, oh my gosh, when Uncle Jimmy came in and computer, they said, oh, we don't have any more money. And here comes Richie hiring all these, the best of the best. And I know how much money those front of the house people make. And not only Jessica, they hired the 2 other guys. And I'm like, that's a good $300,000 right there. And then here comes Carmy putting up, everything he's got on the table. And it's like, oh my God. Well, anyway. And then I started researching, because I kind of caught some stuff here and there too. And they're like, oh, that's probably the writers not really knowing. I think season 3 or 2, I can't remember. He said something about Serve Safe, where he said, what the hell is Serve Safe?
Yeah.
When they were opening the sandwich store.
Yep.
And I'm like, wait, Michelin star restaurant chefs don't know what Serve Safe is? and to me, that was kind of weird, because in the state of California where I live, any establishment that serves food needs to have that, regardless if you're Michelin or not. But anyway, going back to that, I'm like, wow, so I guess they're really not going to make it when Richie brought them in. I thought that's what the show was about. I thought, okay, they're going to bring in the big guns and they're going to run out of money. They're going to end up going back to the sandwich shop. I don't know. My mind was just going. But I thought, it will save them. It will save them, but or it will break them, because I knew that they didn't have enough money anymore left.
Yeah. For
me,
when
about that? What do you think about that?
Yeah, for me, when I
Like,
saw the gang back together, for me, it's been like 3 years since I've seen them,
that's
back on my
right. And me,
screens. I'm
it's like,
like,
yeah,
for you, it was like yesterday.
it was
For
fresh. Like, oh
yeah,
yeah,
it was really fresh. Oh yeah, I remember that. But for me, I was like, oh my god, the crew is back together. These are great
yeah.
actors and a
And I was
great
like,
team.
yes, for sure.
But you're right. These are high dollar front of house employees. But I kind of looked at it like this is an investment. They're gonna make your kitchen and your front of the house run more efficiently and get more people.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
Jessica's automatically already showing her worth. Like I see that you average 2 cancellations a night. I'm overbooking the restaurant
Oh
by 2 tables.
yeah, yeah,
And they said, well, what if everybody shows up? Well, we call that a champagne problem. And that's
for sure, for sure.
really fun to watch. Um,
And it brought a lot of light on Richie, how
yeah.
he's super smart, like
Hmm.
no one thought about it. Like Sugar walked in like, who are you? Carmy didn't think about it. And I thought also the whole time as the show progressed in this episode, I'm like, that's what really saved them. I felt like.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
Richie was the one who thought about it, and no one ever think that. I don't know if Richie's given enough credit most of the time, but he thought about bringing them. So I think he was the hero in this. He's starting to become the hero. I feel like because
What do
everybody's
you?
just so busy fighting. I feel like
Yeah.
or expressing their heartaches, which is fine. But also, I can see too why people are saying the show is dragging so much, and it's like just say it already. Like there's that part of the scene sometimes that it's like, oh God, really? Like that's the punchline. But like I said, anyway, great transitions. I feel like, but yeah,
Yeah.
but it showed a lot
Speaking.
of.
Yeah. So speaking of Richie, what do you think of his whole character arc? Having seen it so fresh, right, from season
Yeah,
one, episode one, and kind of being this
yeah.
like jerk to now being the best front of house guy to have ever kind of existed.
You know,
What do you think of that character arc for him?
that character. I don't know. I've seen a lot of series, right? And every time there's like an underdog or they're not shedding so much light, this is the guy that's gonna save the day type of thing. And the fact that he was Mikey's best friend, and you can just see from season 1 to how he is so attached to the family. In the funeral, etc., and all that, and how he was running the sandwich shop. I almost feel like he was the one who was really running it. So I felt like his character was always important, but and until like he got that the forks. I mean, I felt like he was given so much tools to succeed, to intern or do a stage at Ever restaurant, and so I knew something big was gonna come up about Richie. So,
Yeah.
but I like the evolution of his character.
Yeah.
I know I think
It
it's a
was
very important character.
it was great. It was great. So
Oh yeah.
towards the end of episode one, we're kind of sitting in the dark after service, and Carmy and Richie are talking, and basically Richie says, that menu, it's killing us. You got to stop doing that. So kind of think from your perspective, he's been changing the menu every day. And
Yeah.
that's the art, and that's that battle between art and commerce, right?
Right.
Changing the menu every day does not make fiscal sense when you're running a restaurant. You can't
For
be
sure.
you can't be doing that. But he's an artist as a chef, and he feels like he needs that space to create.
Hmm.
Coming from an executive chef background where you are, responsible for profit and loss of where you're
Hmm.
at. Can you imagine if you were allowed to change the menu every day? Like how bad would that be on your profit and loss statement?
Well, let me tell you something. Our menu changes every single day.
Oh, it does. Okay.
It does. So, yes, and that's the beauty of what I do right now, especially here at the International House. So, all the corporate companies that I've ever worked for, we don't have a set menu. The menu changes every single day. So I know exactly what Carmi was going through. But for a small scale restaurant like theirs, that you have to pay all your overhead the day of, like you have to really accumulate all that money based on this one plate that you're going to put out in the cost of, let's say, $200. It's hard to beat that game. You have to be really, really smart. You somehow have to bring in an extra income, which in their case, which is the reality of the show, they have that sandwich shop to support the whole entire business. But I feel like he was killing them because of all the labor, to be quite honest. because I mean, yes, he's being artistic, but the amount of time that they're putting in, I don't know if you're watching the clock, but the guys walk in at 8:12 every day, and the dinner service doesn't start till 5. And
Right.
so just imagine you're pulling 16, 18-hour weeks. So that's where they're getting killed. I mean, so when they say, that menu changes every day, there's a lot of restaurants that do that. In fact, I feel like it's more sustainable. You don't need to keep a lot of stuff in your walk-in refrigerator. You kind of rotate things. You buy what you need for the day. But I think for him, and in that setting, they are being killed because of, I mean, look at the plate. It has how many components, and just,
Right.
and how many chefs are touching that plate that are highly paid, well, he's not getting paid, right? I'm not quite sure, but yeah, both of them are still not. But still, if you really think about it in a business point of view, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah, those ingredients, I mean, because they can get by. If you look at their pantry, they don't even have much, even the walk-in, So, and yeah, so that's my take on that.
Oh, yeah.
Would be,
So there's a smart way to do it.
yeah, there's
But
I mean, I feel like it is, but
yeah.
but it's hard for the front of the house. I feel
Yeah.
like if
Yeah.
you're switching your menu every day, and I can see how, okay, switching the menu every day, then you have to readjust your wine pairing, everything else have to be, the menus that are typing in, those are costs that will play a role on your, everything that you're spending out. So I feel like that's where they were falling apart. But to the audience, maybe they don't really understand much unless you're in the business. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember Sweep saying something in the episode. It's like I'm trying to get better at pairing these wines, but this changing the
Yeah.
menu every day is
It's killing.
making it difficult.
That's
So
true. That's true.
yeah, so exactly what you were saying, and then all the
Yeah,
wait staff has to memorize that new menu
for
every
sure.
single day.
And that
Um,
means you need to bring in a really, really good sommelier. And sommelier, they make a lot of money, sometimes even more than a sous chef.
yeah,
So that's where their costs will take play on how they're losing money.
yeah.
Yeah.
The sommelier that Sweeps actually goes to, I don't know if you knew this, but it was a real sommelier. That's a real
I Googled
restaurant,
it.
and that
Yeah. Oh
So that
man,
was
it's
really cool to
amazing.
see. Yeah,
I know. I checked out their wine pairing. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's really awesome. Yeah. And I love how they spoke about the wine. I mean, I live here in Sonoma County, so I'm not a sommelier or anything, but I do love my wine, and I like, the pairing of it all. I do that too at work and stuff. So, but yeah, very interesting. But yeah, I did Google that. And that's the beauty about the bear too. There's
hmm
so many real things that they are putting out in that show. Not only that, they're also helping these businesses to, succeed, because they were mentioned in the show.
yeah.
And I think I love that about this whole show. Yeah.
Yeah, the real guest stars of the restaurant industry. They make
Yes.
an effort to bring some real heavy hitters and highlighting
Yeah.
some local businesses there in Chicago.
Hmm.
I thought was really great. Kasama, we talked
Yeah.
about this offline, but
Yeah.
Kasama
Yeah.
was highlighted, the first Filipino restaurant with a Michelin star, and their business has
Absolutely.
exploded.
Oh, yes.
So that's really cool to see.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
so we go into episode 2, entitled Soubise and
My
Carmy.
favorite.
Yeah, so this is where Carmy starts to kind of start his apology tour, right? And he talks to
Mhm.
Claire, and that was a really great scene between him and Claire. It was kind of funny. He gets up there, and one of the Fact brothers comes to the door, and at first it's kind of like, "What are you doing? What are you doing here?" And
I
then
know,
he's with the
know.
roommate and everything. So, what did we think about that scene as Carmy is apologizing to Claire, and Claire's kind of like, a little apprehensive about everything?
I mean, I don't blame Claire. I mean, I wanted to strangle him. I just felt like it took him so long, to kind of gather his feelings and strength and courage to say something to her. I mean, because it was the last episode of season 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt like I felt like he was so I was mad at him, in fact, on season 3, because I felt like he got his feelings in the way, and he's hurting somebody at the same time that really cared for him. And I really didn't want to lose that character and that connection between Claire and Carmy, because I felt like there's a glimpse of, humanity there that's coming out of Carmy when he's around her, because he's just
Yeah.
this blank faced guy. Sometimes I don't even see the chef in him because he's just so quiet, I feel like. And, you're trying to figure him out, but then you see him smile. He does all these things when she's around. And I felt like he was being real, when they were sitting in the stairs and he wanted to get a word in and she's like, and they were screaming at each other. And I kept on saying, just say, like, why are you like, but, he's just making excuses or whatever. But I didn't understand that towards the end, how when he called Pete, I didn't get that at that
Oh,
point.
he was making a change to
Amendment,
the agreement, to Sydney's agreement, which we
is it
find
because
out.
Claire said something like, well, good luck to you or something?
Yeah,
Kind of like he wasn't, I don't know, but I was kind of heartbroken in that scene. I was happy that he apologized, but I really wanted them to be together.
don't we all? Don't we all?
Yeah, I really wanted. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, just man up a little bit. You're letting everything go. And then when he called, like, I knew something was up, but I didn't realize until the next episode, obviously.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
So we talked earlier about the Bear being able to have this many seasons and each side character kind of getting their own episode to
Right.
flourish and grow. We don't see that with Ibrahim, but we start seeing that a little bit here, where he's looking at the sandwich shop side of the Bear. The only piece of the business that's making money
Yeah.
is that sandwich window for a couple of hours during lunch. And he's finding an opportunity. He said that, he went to culinary school with Tina, but that wasn't him. He likes the way he does things and he doesn't want to change, but he wants to make an opportunity out of the sandwich part of the restaurant. So he
Right.
starts, we start seeing him kind of exploring that. And I thought it was really kind of neat to see. And
Yeah.
as far as we know, he's doing this separate from Carmy and hasn't really
Right.
talked to Carmy about it yet.
Right.
So what you think about Ibrahim kind of like taking the bull by the horns here and
Oh, for sure.
finding an opportunity for himself?
Again, I think that Richie really established that restaurant as not just a restaurant that people just come into work. He established that restaurant as it is owned by this group of people that really do care about the Bear, and wants to be amongst family, and they want the best for the business. So I'm very, very happy when that's starting to happen, because I was disappointed when he didn't go to school, and then Tina just pursued, and they were talking, and he, his arthritis was coming to effect, and he was dropping things, and I'm like, oh, please don't cut him on the show, and I knew he was important because he's always in that station. And so yeah, him reaching out, and I feel like, oh wow, this is another layer of, goodness that's going to come our way for sure.
Yeah.
And then bringing in that character,
Yeah.
Rob, what's his
Rob
name?
Reiner.
Rob Reiner, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was very cool. And I didn't realize that he had that in him, that he's very business minded, And
Yeah.
like you said, he's really looking out for the business and still respectful in a very respectful way. He still wants to make sure that Carmy knows the stuff, but I think none of them wants to for the Bear to die.
Yeah.
And they're going to do everything.
Yeah, it's really neat to see when I saw Rob Reiner come on. I'm like, the guest stars, beyond the culinary
Yes.
guest stars, the actual
Oh, yeah.
like Hollywood guest stars. I
Yeah.
mean, they're just calling their shots and they're like, we want this guy, and we got Rob Reiner in here, which I thought he was really great in the show.
Yeah.
So talking about Sydney now, so this is where we kind of start Sydney. She's still riding the fence of it. She hasn't signed the agreement yet with the Bear. She's
Right.
dodging kind of calls from Shapiro.
Right.
Where did you not trying to, we already watched the entire series of season 4, but as you were watching it, not knowing what was coming, kind of where did you want Sydney to land? Like, she has this loyalty to Carmy, and
Right.
yet that loyalty can seem like it's holding her back from growing and advancing in her career. So
Right.
were you kind of like, she should stay loyal to Carmy? Should she take this opportunity with Shapiro? What were you thinking as you were watching it?
I don't know if people are going to hate me if I say this. I don't know, because maybe I'm a woman and woman to woman chef, I feel like that character should she's in the show, right? She like Carmy said, she's it. She's the reason why they're there. I felt like they should maybe put some more push in the character as to for her to voice out what she wants. Because if she is that talented, they already put it on the show. Like they're describing her as this super ultra talented human being that's much probably more talented than Carmy. She was the one who walked in the bear. She needed that job. She wanted that job because of him and all that stuff. But then towards the end, I felt like she's always kind of like holding back what she needed to say, to the point where now we are in this part where she's, like trying to pick and choose between the two. But I can tell her loyalties with Carmy, but then also I know that she knows that she can live without him. But I think she is afraid to voice it out because she does not want to hurt him. So also her character had evolved, not just a sous chef or a coworker. Again, this whole show is about family and your connection to people. And it brings a lot of human connection to light, like how real it is, that jobs are not just jobs. It is something that you do all day long. You spend more time with these people, with your own blood related family. And so you develop this sense of connection that is unbreakable. And I feel like she's in the fence, like I said, I know she knows who she is. And I feel like it's showing now in the episodes that she could be more, or she is more than Carmy, but she's afraid to hurt him. But then maybe in the next show, like I said, Carmy is letting go. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
So you're kind of with Sydney of you need to take this opportunity to go with Shapiro and grow your career because Carmy's holding you back.
Kind of like that, or maybe step up to Carmy in so many times. Because in her character, she's always kind of like, did you just say that? She won't say anything. And she's like, never mind, but also in the same time, she's trying to keep the peace because it's just not Carmy who is the instigator of chaos. Everybody is. It's a really crazy, kitchen because it's very family oriented, right? So there's really no boundaries there. But then at the same time, she's kind of caught in the middle. But I feel like if she stands her ground all the time and would, stand up to Carmy all the time, but then again, the show might end. So we don't want that.
Right. Exactly.
I want more of the show, honestly. I really do.
It is really good. It is really good.
Yeah.
So let's get into episode 3. And episode 3 for me is where I feel like the season really started. Like seasons 1 and 2 was kind of hangover from season 3. Kind of the ramifications of all that. But episode 3 of season 4, I feel like is where the season actually started. We kind of go through a dinner service and, they talk about restricting some things off the plate and trying to make things better with less. So they highlight that the name of this episode is Scallop, and Sydney makes this standout scallop dish. And Carmy calls it perfect. One thing that I thought was really great is they show the family that comes in to eat, and they've never had the Chicago beef sandwich, and they wanted to come during winter. So they create this surprise for them. They bring out a sandwich, and then they do the fake snow for this family and everything. I've heard of restaurants doing kind of that sort of thing, these higher end restaurants. Like I interviewed Curtis Duffy from Ever. A couple of times on our podcast, and he said that somebody canceled a reservation because they were sick. So he had the kitchen make them a big pot of chicken noodle soup and brought it to them to their house. And that's something your average restaurant isn't going to do. I loved seeing this surprise on screen, the fake snow and the hot chocolate at the end and kind of all of that. In your experience, do you think this is more played up because of TV, or do you see restaurants kind of going this extra mile to create these memorable events for their guests, especially these higher end ones?
No, it's certainly not made up. It is true to life. absolute true to life. I mean, I've seen people do that. I've done it myself. I mean, not to the extent that I made snow or anything, but I worked for a client who absolutely loves bacon. And it was Valentine's Day. And I know, this client really loves bouquet of flowers and particularly roses. So I made 16 dozen of bacon roses for this person, and they didn't even know, and that is just like a very minute day in my time. Like, I didn't make snow or anything, but I would go as far as like that. I mean, looking back, I've done, above and beyond things for client, where I would go to a specialty store to make sure, to make the dish so authentic that they didn't even know about that existed here in the US. And that, I mean, the whole entire restaurant world, it's based on hospitality, right? So it's like we go above and beyond. That is the mantra. That is the Bible. That's how we learn and live every day. That's how we execute ourselves as chefs. We are part of this big hospitality group of industry. So, I mean, it's not fake at all. I mean, I was so happy that they actually displayed that on the show so people understand. Because, sometimes you like, what do you mean you paid $1,000 to eat there? But you don't understand. It's the experience. But yeah, but then you leave hungry because, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you just cannot explain to people how you can make a person feel in a certain moment in time, and not particularly just about what you've eaten. Or you can go to a restaurant with a family style or whatever, but that moment that you made them feel so special is priceless. And that's just the magic and beauty of hospitality. So yeah, I'm very happy that they had showcased that on the show, really. So people are, be more aware of what we do on a daily, why we turn out to be crazies.
I mean, yeah, it's part of that memorable experience when you go to a high-end restaurant like Ever or the
Yeah.
Bear or like Alinea or those ultra,
Right.
yeah, those ultra high-end is you
For
want to make it a
sure.
memorable experience. And
Right.
I thought they did a great job. And then during that service, we meet a guy that is a customer, we think is a customer, kind of commenting to Rich. He's like, "Oh, that's a really nice thing you did for that family." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you're the Michelin guy
For
that's
sure.
coming to," because they
Right.
talk about it in the first episode. If we get a Michelin star, that'll change things, right? So
Right.
do you think, because they haven't said yet, do you think this guy, I forgot what his character's name was, but this customer, Mr. Clark, that's right, dining by himself. Do you think that's the Michelin, the Michelin reviewer?
I feel like he is, or he was, yes. He acted and sounded like it. I mean, he was watching them the whole time. He even went to the back to see and follow the family. And when the was it the car, the way
Yeah,
they addressed him, I felt like he was someone very special. Or I don't know. What
because
did you think?
I mean, I thought so because he was way too inquisitive about
Yeah,
everything to
yeah,
just be like.
yeah.
I mean, I get it if that happened to me in front of me, I'd be like, "Oh, that was a really nice gesture,
hmm
dude," and then I would have kind of left it at that. But he
Right.
was really kind of digging in, and I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
you're the Michelin
Exactly.
guy. You're the Michelin guy."
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So I want to talk about Sydney's scallop dish for a second because it's the name of the episode, and it kind of shows where she's starting to separate herself from Carmy a little bit because he didn't really have a say in the scallop dish. Because every other time she's created something, he would always say it's close or it's not quite there yet, or he would
hmm
change it back to whatever he was doing. But this is the one dish she created on her own that he was like, it's better than perfect. So what makes this scallop dish? And this is kind of one of the other dishes that we've seen plated so far this season. What makes that scallop dish, as a chef looking at it, TV worthy? What made that the dish to highlight?
Yeah. You know what I was disappointed about? Carmy didn't ask any questions about it. He just, you know what I mean? And
Well, it was better than perfect. What was there to ask?
that's what because he asked Marcus. He said, "What was in the middle?"
Oh,
About
yeah,
that
yeah,
dessert. And I'm
yeah.
like, well, I guess I want to know. I want to know what was in that dish that made it extra perfect or something. But you know, I don't know. I mean, in this, when you reach this season, and then knowing Carmy how he is, I'm starting to feel like, is he kind of starting to just kind of back down and give way to people? You know what I mean? Is there a conflict of interest now because emotions are kind of subsiding a little bit? And that's why I was disappointed because he didn't ask. Because typically he would, he
Yeah.
scrutinizes everything, and that's what a chef does. But he didn't. He just kind of said, it's perfect, and
Yeah.
even Sydney was, so it's good. Because, she's so used to him,
Mhm.
right? Dissecting every single thing. But what do you think? What do you
Well, I
think it
mean,
was?
I think the scallop dish being TV worthy, it's such a simple dish, right? A
Yeah,
scallop, but
right.
it's so difficult to get right. And when you have a
Mhm.
perfectly, sauteed scallop and with
Mhm.
that beautiful crust on the outside and that foam around the edge,
Right.
it just looked TV ready, and it looked,
Mm.
I could taste it through the screen, and it was really
Uh-huh.
a really great dish to highlight. So what were, kind of tying things up for the first 3 episodes here? What were some standout scenes to you in these first 3 episodes that kind of made you maybe even pause it and go, wow, or just kind of remembered why this show is the cultural conversation that it is?
The standout for me, um, I like the part where Mikey was in the first part of the show because I
Mhm.
really wanted to know. I don't know. I mean, I wanted to know how Carmy became who he was, how he became the best chef in the world. So then I wanted to know the family history. Like, for example, the fishes with the mom when she put out that big spread, and then he
Yeah.
wanted to make that pistachio cannelloni as a dessert at the bear. That's the connection that I'm looking for. And is this where the show where no, it's not in we're not talking about it this season, but yeah, so that was my favorite thing. I wanted to know about that gravy. I thought that was a standout for me. Um I think it I think the fact that Richie hired the three front of the house people because I was afraid that the show's probably going to end. I don't know. It's probably going back to the sandwich shop. And miraculously, I don't know. Carmy will change his mind and say, you know what, F this Michelin star, I don't care. That kind of thing. And also, is this where the episode where Lucas started coming in?
I don't think we're quite
No, not
there
there yet.
yet. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But
I don't think
Marcus,
so.
is he starting to no, not quite, huh? I know there's so many because I jam
Yeah,
packed everything
it's
in
all kind of
one.
bundled together now in my head.
Right, right. But I mean there's that those are my highlights. And then, I think the Claire part is
Yeah,
my favorite, because I just really want Carmy to do well. Um, mentally. And I
yeah,
feel like he really deserves a break. I feel like this kid is just running on fumes. And, the fact that his brother died and he had the restaurant on his shoulder and no one really understand where he's coming from except for Sydney, who's also getting beat down. You know what I mean? And the show's starting to reveal this now. And you can see that the flames are kind of dying down a little bit, and you can see the transition on Carmy's behavior. And
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that was kind of a standout thing too. That Carmy's making an effort. I think one of my standout scenes is like early in that first episode, they're all gathered around the table talking about that clock, and Carmy's
Oh
like, "I
yeah.
want to apologize." No, Richie's like, "I want to apologize," and then they're fighting about who needs to apologize. Like
Right.
that's funny to me. That whole scene, and then how bad Carmy is at math.
Right.
That was kind of
Oh
funny.
my gosh, yes, that's right.
That was
I never
hilarious.
thought that this whole entire series is a comedy drama.
Yeah, it was nominated for Emmys. It was nominated for Emmys in the comedy category, which has been
That's
a kind
right.
of a running joke, I guess, through 4 years of the show. Is like, is the
What do you
bear a
think
comedy?
about that?
I
I
mean,
think it's yeah,
the bear's not a comedy. It's not, but
it's not.
it got nominated in the comedy category because it was only 30 minutes long. And
Is
there's
it like a
this,
dark humor comedy type of thing? I mean, there are some okay, like this part where he was knocking on the door, right? And he said this is like a Disney movie or something like
that was
that.
funny.
I thought that was funny, and because he's like, which one? Motocross? Oh God, yeah. I thought that was so funny, and no one was laughing. And people are like, "You're weird, Abby." I'm like, "Wait, this is a comedy show." It says on the thing, and I didn't realize until then. I'm like, "Why is he being funny?" But anyway, and I think Richie's funny too, to be honest with you. But he
Yeah.
says a lot of funny things. And the Fact Brothers, I mean, yeah, the two Facts are funny.
Well, there was a lot of complaints in the third season that there was too much fact. Too many Fact Brother jokes, like John Cena making an appearance as another
I didn't
Fact
get
Brother.
That I didn't get that.
So so it's classified as a comedy. Clearly, I don't think it's a comedy. There's funny moments, but I wouldn't describe it as a classical kind of sitcom comedy.
Right,
But
for sure.
yeah, but I think we're 4 years into it, and you're kind of it's kind of funny with you watching it with fresh eyes that I can't believe people think this is a comedy. And the conversation for all of us that have been watching for 4 years is like, yeah, it's not a comedy. It's not a comedy. But yeah. So how do we think so far, having you watched the first 3 seasons? How do we think these first 3 episodes have compared to seasons past so far? Do you think that it's living up to the expectations of where seasons 1 and 2 are like perfect seasons of TV, and then season 3 was kind of faltering a little bit? Do we think we're back as the Bear? Do we think we're kind of back to those season 1, 2 levels, or are we more still on season kind of 3 type?
No, I mean 100%. I mean, like you said, I didn't have that. I mean that whole gap between, and I'm watching it, one episode at a time, season by season. I see the connection. I mean, I didn't think season 3 was a letdown. I honestly thought there was a lot of great assets in that season. So, I mean, coming from a person who's binge watching it, obviously, because without it, it wouldn't make any substance why we're here, and it connects to all the other seasons as well. Like I like that episode Napkins. Like I said, I've always liked Tina's character for some reason, and I'm happy that they highlighted that on season 3. But season 4, I'm just kind of on edge right now because I don't want the Bear to end quite yet. I feel like they need to make more shows like The Bear, but then I don't know how they will top this one, kind of like how do you top The Sopranos? But I mean, there's so much drama in this particular show in terms of great acting. I mean, the writing, I think, is amazing. It's very realistic. Coming from me as a chef who is in the industry, very well thought out, very well researched. So, I mean, but then again, you see some glimpse of, wait, where is he going?
Yeah, that was kind of for me with season. Yeah, with season 3, I was kind of like, where are we going? Like, because season 1 and 2 bought me a lot of goodwill going into season 3. So I went into season 3, and after I finished season 3, I'm like, what did I just watch? It wasn't quite the same Bear. It's the same creative team. The exact same creative team from seasons 1 and 2. And I was like, they know how to make a great show. And season 3, I feel like didn't quite measure up. Season 4, we're getting there. So season 4, we're getting there. Episodes 1 and 2, like I said, were kind of hangovers from season 3. They filmed they filmed season 3 and 4 back to back. So there wasn't really a gap in filming between the 2 seasons. So it's not like they could go back and read reviews and be like, oh yeah, we need to make adjustments here and there. But I feel like they did make some adjustments because episode 3 of this season, I think is starting to really take off, and the rest of the season I thought was really, really good. But yeah, so I think season 4 we're kind of on track to get there. And you were talking about, I don't want the show to end. I don't know if you read the trades or anything, but it has been picked up for a 5th season.
Yep, I saw that last night.
There's one more season coming, which I was kind of surprised because I thought this was it. I thought season 4 was going to be it. A lot of speculation that this was going to be the last season.
Yeah.
And the 3 principal actors, Jeremy Allen White, Iota Berry, and Evan Boss Bacharach, are huge names now. I mean, they're taking on some major projects, both behind and in front of the camera. I mean, you got Jeremy Allen White doing a Bruce Springsteen biopic. You have Eben playing The Thing in Fantastic Four that's coming out, later on in July. Mm-hmm. So their names have risen to the stratosphere. So I'm really surprised that they were able to wrangle them in, or it'll be interesting to see how they wrangle them in for a 5th season. And are they going to release it in its year? It's like June. When June hits the calendar now, I'm looking for a bear release because it's been every June for the past 4 years.
Oh, is that right? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been every June, and then they drop all the episodes all at once, which is rare.
Right.
So you didn't get to experience this, but when Netflix popularized like dropping every episode in one go, a lot of people like that until until you start kind of thinking about keeping the show on the cultural front of mind of everybody. If you drop everything all at once, you talk about it for about a week or two and then it's done. But if you release it weekly, then you keep it in the conversation for much longer. And I kind of found myself like, I kind of miss those weekly releases, right? So when the Bear dropped all 10 episodes in one go, as is tradition. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But do you prefer kind of the weekly drops, or do you prefer the all-in-one binge Netflix style?
No, I would, if I can, looking back, I prefer the weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I like
me
that.
too.
I like absorbing. Like you said, this is a great, amazing show, and I want to scrutinize everything. And how did they come up with that whole thing? What was the genesis of that? Why did they even try to highlight so and so? It's worth watching, and it's I want it to be I wanted to stay there for a little bit longer and not be forgotten. I want it to be unforgettable. So I want to nourish the whole thing weekly if I could.
Kind of let it marinate on your brain.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think I repeated the show, the first 3 on season 4 3 times.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted, I'm trying to look for hints that, oh shoot, this might be the last season, because there were talks, I think.
Yeah, there were talks.
Season 3, because season 3 was, people were bored and they're like, oh yeah, it didn't have the same following, or it just dropped. So they might end the show. And I'm like, no, not really, because they did it on this episode. You know what I mean? So it kind of, I want to study it so much. But yeah.
Cool.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I was kind of, we'll get into the latter half of the season later on, but I was, the way season 4 ended, before I knew that season 5 was picked up, I'm like, oh gosh, we can't end the season like this. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but we can't end the season 4 like this and never see it again. Yeah. So I'm hoping season 5 is, I have to say that season 5 is probably going to be it, and that we're going to have some kind of closure at the end of that. Because again, when you're trying to wrangle these big name stars now, it's like herding cats. So we're going to kind of see, like, I think season 5, but it's a moneymaker for FX. It's a moneymaker for Hulu. It brings a lot of eyeballs to streaming, and it's been part of the culture conversation for 4 years. So we'll see. I want the Bear to end on a high note, and we'll see if season 5 is that. But we still got a lot to talk about for season 4. It was great talking to you for the first 3 episodes. I'm looking forward to doing this for a couple more weeks here.
Yes, for sure. You too.
Yeah. So
more power to the Bear.
I know, right? So we are covering episodes 4 through 6 on our next podcast episode, and then 7 through 10 on ones after that. So if people want to follow you, Abigail, and kind of relive your moments when you were on Food Network and kind of see what's going on with International House there in Berkeley, where can people follow you on socials?
Right. You can follow me on Instagram under Chef Marie Abigail, and I'm older. I have Facebook.
Well, I do too.
You do too, but anyway, you can follow me on Facebook as well under Marie Abigail Serbins. But you'll see all my highlights there and what I've done in the past. So thank you. Thank you. Nice. Yeah.
And you can find me on MySpace and Friendster. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not that
I love that. I am that old. I had Friendsters. And MySpace. Wow. Yeah.
Oh man,
isn't that crazy?
MySpace, that top 8 was anxiety inducing, right?
Oh Lord, yes, for sure.
You can follow me on socials at Rich Herrera and at Eat Your Content on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And make sure to like and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast so you know when we're going to drop these episodes next. We're going to cover the bear all season long for season 4. So make sure to like and follow so you know when we're going to be dropping those episodes. Chef Abbie, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. We'll see you again soon. We'll talk about seasons 4 through 6.
Yes, this is awesome. I really enjoy this thoroughly. And thank you so much for inviting me. Can't wait.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to Eat Your Content. If you like what you hear, please consider supporting the podcast through my merch store on TeePublic. Get great quality items like t-shirts, hats, mugs, and more, all sporting the vibrant Eat Your Content logo. Go to teepublic.com/user/eatyourcontent for more great items, and thanks for your support.